The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so you would figure after 250 episodes, I wouldn't have any more technical issues. But listen, everybody, we owe this guy a double appreciation today, because literally he and I recorded an episode last week, and this is Erik Warsaw with us today. And we recorded last week, and I screwed up some setting, so my audio got all wanky. So we're having to record again. So first of all, totally appreciate you making time, Erik. Welcome to the DSD. I think people are going to get a lot out of this because we're going to talk a variety of takes. And I will tell you, man, and I've told you this offline, you are one of 2 or 3 content creators that I really like and really respect. And you put a lot of time into the clips you do. So let's start off here because, man, your TikTok is legit. And you have over 350,000 followers. Several of your clips have gone well into the millions. But before we get into the various political stuff, just tell everybody kind of what you do on TikTok and, you know, that process of going live and, you know, just what that's all about. I think people will be interested in that.
Ray, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me, buddy. It's great to be out here with you again. Yeah, for TikTok, listen, I was not a social media influencer. I was an absolute nobody before October 7th of last year. And then October 7th, 2023 happened, the day that changed the entire world. And before it was cool, before it was a trend, before it was anything, the very next day, it was like 11 o'clock in the morning on October 8th. And I've already seen the media misportraying stuff over in Gaza and Israel. So I was like, man, I had a 1 hour of free time. So I was like, dude, I'm going to do a live show. I was going to do a live show. And then that 1 hour turned down to 9.5 hours because I had the most absurdly high viewership because everyone had no idea what the hell was going on in the middle. They had no idea what a Palestinian was. And I'm explaining to them the story because a lot of things don't make sense. So I'm like explaining to them. And then from that, I just kept doing live shows. And then I was just kind of reposting with my videos at first. And then I actually, learned the audience and I learned how to make videos. And, I learned the computer algorithm, how to make the video the best for search engine optimization. But then I also had to learn the human algorithm, as in, hey, you better, this better be fast. This better be entertaining. This better be done well. You have to put your hook in the first few seconds to make sure you draw the audience in. So I had to learn a lot, and I did learn a lot. And here we are. The day that changed the world, it also changed my life too. But yeah, that's where I started from.
That's pretty wild. So were you on TikTok before October 7th, or did you literally create a profile that next day? And if you were already on it, how big was your following before?
Oh, man, no, I was on it before. It was barely over 1,000. Just kind of I was on it for a few months, just screwing around. I wasn't doing daily live shows or nothing like that. I did maybe 3 or so live shows before that, just long time before October, just kind of screwing around, just see what it's like and stuff, And
wow.
Yeah, so no, that's just everything was completely. I just repost some stuff. That's basically what So
you've really grown. You've really grown that TikTok 350,000 people in a year, because of your jumping in on the Gaza stuff. But now, what I love about, consuming your content is you're kind of giving your analysis on really everything that's going on. And so with that said, our guy, Luigi Mangione, he is.
Oh my God, the ladies love this guy. Already at his courthouse. He has a whole bunch of young women protesters speaking up for him.
That's crazy.
He's a very handsome guy. So he's he's extremely popular. There's people getting tattoos of him.
Totally. Let me ask you 2 questions. One is a play off of what you just said, because ironically, I talked about this in a previous episode. I said that if he wasn't as good looking as he was, would he be this big of a phenomenon right now? You know, I don't think he would. I think the looks factor into it. It's kind of
It
like
is.
Ted Bundy was like super good looking. And then even like was it the Unabomber or who was that other? There was like
I think for anything, like, you know, good looking, I mean, they sell more. They sell more.
Yeah.
If it was, you know, so it's definitely a bonus. Would he be famous? Yes. Would he be as famous? No.
Got it.
I think it's, you know, so I think, yeah, I think that does have something to do with it. No, the people are, again, they're getting tattoos of him. There's so much art around the guy.
Yeah.
And like, I heard a comedian say this recently, right? Because like he was even saying, like, you know, the government and the people in charge, they stopped caring about us, so people stopped caring about them, and now it's like there's a divide in the country.
Yeah.
But it's not so much left and right anymore. It's people versus those in charge of the government. Now this guy's not a government official, but he's in charge of like the healthcare system, which is seen like almost equivalent to people in government anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, you're talking about Brian Thompson, the CEO that got killed.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is
let me ask you this.
okay.
I mean, do you think he's the one in the video pulling the trigger? Because there's still so much debate about that.
I'm gonna. He's innocent until proven guilty, and we'll just go with that because there's a lot of people. They're saying that Luigi Mangione was with them at that time. He's got like 1,000 alibis right now. He was with me too. It was with me too up in Massachusetts. So he's got like 1,000 alibis. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying nothing. Here, I can say this, right? So guys, if anybody's interested, listen. He's at the MDC in Brooklyn, the federal jailhouse in Brooklyn, and if I wrote him a letter because I was like, oh, maybe I could see if I'm sure there's a bunch of people, but if anybody ever wanted to contact him, you go on what was it called? It's fbop.gov, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, fbop.gov, and look up inmate locator, and you can look up his address, and you can write him. People can write him a letter if anybody wanted to write him a letter, and I'm sure he's going to write back because he's got nothing better to do for the next few months.
You know what? That is actually very interesting. I always wondered how these inmates get so much mail, namely like the Menendez brothers, and you know they've gotten so much mail over the years, and then especially over the past 6 months because of the Netflix documentary. And by the way, I don't even remember. Did they get released, or is that still happening?
I think the decisions have not been made entirely, but they're opening the door for the possibility. But I don't think they've been released yet. It's still up in the air. But as far as I know, it's still a possibility. And that's a very interesting case. And I would like to know if, because they claimed like sexual abuse from their parents and shit like that too.
Yeah,
I was like, is that to get off or is that true? So I hope the truth comes out first and foremost. And then, I mean, I hope everyone gets their justice, good for good or bad for bad. So I
mean, I will say this in regards to the Menendez brothers and Luigi. I mean, fundamentally, I honestly think they both killed their respective people. And, you know, I don't know, for me, that's kind of the red line. It's like everything else, justification of everything else falls secondary. I think that, you know, it's just black and white for me when it comes to killing someone or not killing them. But all right, let's get into, you know, you posted a great video the other day, which a lot of people aren't even realizing this is happening still. But President Biden sent another $20 billion to Ukraine. I mean, that's insane. So I think we're over like 200 billion total. What are your thoughts on that whole thing? Like, why is he doing that? Like, what's the point?
What's the point? That's an excellent. First and foremost, I'll remind everybody, right? So before the elections, before November 6th, so November 5th, we spent $180 billion in Ukraine. And then as soon as Trump won, the very same day, Biden comes out and says that they're going to hurry along $6 billion to Ukraine. And then it was like a $800 million package, $900 million package. And now 20 billion, which they're trying to frame as, oh, it's seized Russian assets and blah. Like, no. All right, listen, I think that you're just playing around with words to try to make it easy for the public to swallow it. Like even if it's Russian seized asset or whatever the hell it is, that still could be helping our economy and not going over there, even if that is the case. Why are they doing it? They're instigating. War is going to be over in another month and a week when Trump takes office. So they're intentionally instigating. Now, why? Why do all this? I think it's free money. I mean, as in, well, yeah, there's free money. You send, guys, a lot of the money that we send over to Ukraine, even Ukrainians say it. I even heard a Ukrainian newscaster, translated in English, saying, like, hey, Americans, thank you for sending all the money over. But really, a lot of our politicians just steal this money. And none of it goes to the public. They have stores with empty shelves. It's all going to the military. The military is guys, $200 billion in just a few years. What has Ukraine accomplished for it? Like, what's the money to results ratio? There is none. They have not gained back a single town, a single village, a single rock back from the Russians. And it is physically impossible for a tiny country that's the size of, I don't know how big it is, like what the size of the state of Utah, Ukraine. I don't know how big it is, but then Russia, like what?
Ukraine's pretty big, actually. It's pretty big.
Oh, really?
But
yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was smaller.
And then Russia is like 10 times that big. So, you know, both of those countries are huge. But you make a great point in what's the results of this 200 billion? Where is the line item expenditures? What has this been spent on? And like you said, I guarantee you, it hasn't been spent helping the people and improving their lives in any way. And so, yeah, that's just been another, money laundering, military industrial complex forever war where we came out of Afghanistan, jumped right back into Ukraine. All right, do you think that will end with Trump coming in? I mean, he's talked a lot of smack about that. You do?
He's been very, very clear about it. Vladimir Putin has been very, very open about it too, and he's looking forward to dealing with Trump. And so I think that's pretty much guaranteed. I think the Ukraine war is going to be definitely over with, and I think a lot of other wars in the Middle East are going to not completely stop, but wind down significantly. So. Okay,
all right. Give us your take on Syria and what's going on in Syria from Bashar al-Assad being overthrown and just what you're seeing, because in all honesty, what I'm seeing is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it's a lot of just reminds me of Osama bin Laden, or not Osama bin Laden, what's his face? Saddam Hussein. Reminds me of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, where you're overthrowing this quote unquote evil dictator, but then what happens for the people? I mean, those two cases, the people did not end up any better, So what do you...
Is it Libya 2.0? Yeah. So, oh man, there's so much to unpack. All right. So first and foremost is, I do live shows and I have a lot of people actually from Syria come up on my show. So that's how I know about all the details of all these different areas, because I'm actually directly talking to people from those areas. So every single Syrian person that came on my show, they're extremely happy that Bashar al-Assad is gone. They're very happy. He was very bad. Now, at the same time, too, the new guy, oh my God. I think he's compromised. I think that a guy came out of there's a lot of different rebel groups in Syria. The one that rose up was extremely well-funded, well-trained and everything. And then there's another group called there was a group called the RC. Remember, America has a military base in there. We have, I don't know, depending on sources, between 1,000 to 2,000 troops in the military base in Syria. We actually funded a group called the RCA. And someone did an interview with them from a British newspaper. And they were saying, oh, yeah, America told us 3 weeks ahead of time that we're going to be taking part of the revolution to attempt to remove Bashar al-Assad. And they increased their troop number from 800 to 3,000 in preparation. And these guys were getting paid $400 a month, which is 12 times as much as your average Syrian soldier. So America had pre-knowledge that a revolution was going to be attempted. America did have a hand in it, obviously, because they were funding and paying the soldiers. And while it was going on, America did 75 airstrikes against, they say America's taking out ISIS. I'm like, guy, they're taking out opposition. They're taking out opposition, making it easier for the new Syrian leadership to go in. And they used a B-52, for God's sake. They used a B-52 bomber just to show you, guys, they were doing some heavy firepower. 75 targets. You know those were human targets. And Al-Jilani gave a freaking interview with CNN in the middle of the revolution. And you got to remember this, too. Check this out, right? So there's lots of pro-Palestine protests all around the world. They never want to show it on the media, so they don't encourage it, right? But at the same time, dude, all the Syrian revolution celebrations all around the world, they're televising it everywhere. They all have brand new flags, and they're all immediately getting together. It's all over the internet. I'm like, oh, you guys, the media was taking part in manufacturing consent. Well, I mean, it's not like they manufactured consent. Bashar al-Assad was super unpopular, but as far as public acceptance and everything like that, the media played a big role in it right from the start, man. Come on, in the middle of the revolution, CNN's going to walk in and do an interview with the rebel leader. When does that ever happen?
That's actually a very interesting point. It's like the optics of, you don't see anything really from the Palestinian point of view, and this is 14 months into it, whereas now all of a sudden it's kind of like, it's funny, it's kind of like the day Trump got assassinated. Why was that broadcast from wherever in Pennsylvania, why was that covered by all the news stations when prior to that, he never got airtime unless it was negative on CBS, NBC, ABC, those guys. But that day, they happened to all be covering that. That's pretty wild. I played your clip. I played your clip of Al-Jilani. It's like the 3 or 4 phases of Al-Jilani, and I thought you made a great point.
His name isn't anymore. Do you know that they changed he changed his name back to what's his name, Al-Shara now?
Oh, I didn't even see that. So
no, his name has changed. It's not Al-Jilani anymore. It's Al-Shara, and then next week it's going to be Bob. I mean, the guy's image is highly polished and manufactured. I really believe that they're doing they're manufacturing a very positive image for him, and he's got like image consultants. That's the impression I get as I watch this guy's image transform in like higher and higher I'm like, wow, come on, guys, this is a really professional PR campaign.
Yeah. He reminds me of what's his face, Zelensky. It's almost like Zelensky 2.0. It really does.
Zelensky's brother, because not just for the visual, but because of the politics behind everything. It's like, they both look like puppets of the same people is what what it sadly appears to. Again, we're glad for the Syrian people to be free from one dictator. We're just very, very worried about the next dictator. And I got to mention this too. This is kind of going under the radar, but it's been mentioned in the news quite a bit. The new leader, Al-Jilani al-Shara, he's ordered the confiscation of all weapons from all civilians, even other opposing military forces. He says revolutionary forces, civilians, all to confiscate their weapons, and even including the SDF, the Kurdish people and the Kurdish militia are supposed to disarm and give them their weapons too. Meanwhile, Turkey's not going to disarm their rebel groups, and Turkey keeps having altercations with the Kurdish people inside Syria. So I'm like, guys, this looks very scary. I'm very worried about the Kurdish people there. History. I mean, so guys, whenever a dictator comes in and the first thing he does is take away guns, like in Yugoslavia and stuff like that, it's like that's usually when genocide is next, or some crazy totalitarian bad power is next. So I mean, I'm getting alarm bells everywhere. And remember, Al-Jilani's first 4 allies that he made was America, England, Germany, and Turkey. Those are his first 4 allies. It's like, oh, okay, come on, guys. We know who he's working for now. We gave him a chance. Now we see what it is.
And I have to imagine he's probably allied with Netanyahu and the right-wing Likud party for Israel as well. I mean, that would make sense.
I think so. They're just not an open, direct, because they know how bad it's going to look in public relations. So they're just like, all right, he's just going to ally with America, England, and Turkey. And that's the same allies as Israel anyway. So they're just going to hide their hand, but they're directly involved in this one way.
Yeah.
because
Do
it
you
benefits
think
them so much.
do you think that war is going to end when Trump takes over? Like, do you think he's going to kind of put the kibosh on that as well?
Oh man, I can say what Trump is saying, right? I'll just repeat what Trump is saying. Trump is saying that, and he's been saying this for a while. Is like, dude, we have a whole military base over there, and between 1 and 2,000 Americans, we shouldn't have any. He says that we should pull our troops out of Syria and let them like mind your business kind of politics. And I kind of agree with that because I really believe that America or any superpower, when they start to interfere with other countries, even if they have good intentions, it usually ends in bad results because what they usually try and do is like mimic their own economy, mimic their own policies in a different culture, in a different setting where even if it works in America, which it doesn't, that it may not work over there. So just because of the different settings. So I'm very, very non-interventionist unless it's really something crazy like a genocide or something heinous is going on. Man, just mind your business. Let them be, man. Because even with good intentions, I think it usually backfires.
No, I hear you on this, dude. The content you create, how long does it take you to put together? You're really doing 60-second reels, I think, right? 60 or 90 seconds. Do you have a time limit you do on yours?
No, but my average video ends up around the like minute 15 seconds. That's my average.
Okay.
It's so. That's my average length video. Remember, because all right, now different platforms have different formats. Like YouTube, people go to YouTube to watch long form videos. On TikTok, it's the exact opposite. It needs to be short because everybody has ADHD like crazy. Yeah, so whatever news you deliver, it better be fast, quick, and then done. So that's the type of format that I'm working with. That might like my audience. So that one and done.
So the TikTok stuff that's like 60 seconds to, let's say, 75 seconds, how long does it take you to create one of those?
Oh my God, you'd be shocked. It usually takes me over 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours for a single video. Now that includes like, about 10 minutes to really get my ideas in order, like 5 to 10 minutes to actually record it. And then the rest it's all editing process where like I'm speaking. And every time I mention something, I want to have a news article right above my head proving what I'm saying, And then I also have some graphics and stuff like that. Some like images from the events that I'm speaking about. So I go overboard. I do way too much. I go way too crazy on details. But that's why, it takes a long time. But if you look at the average amount of views per video that I have, it's much higher than the average views than someone with 5 times as many followers that I do. So,
no, it really is. Well, I think the fact that you put so much attention to the detail and where, the graphic will be coming, you'll point at it. That stuff takes time, man. That stuff takes time. Okay, I think it's interesting for people to understand a 60 to 75 second video that they see and think nothing of it could take you up to 3 hours to put together. That's actually pretty crazy. Let me ask you this in terms of, what else? What do you think's coming for 2025? Like, what do you think 2025 is going to be like? Is there anything you're seeing? Do you think it's going to be a much calmer state of affairs because of Trump? What do you think?
No. Well, here's the thing about politics. Politics is unpredictable. I mention this all the time. Like, I could say one way, you could say the other, and then something will pop up in the middle and surprise both of us. Because we've talked a lot about, like on my show, like, hey, who's next? Is Israel going to go into Lebanon? What's going on with Lebanon? What are they going to do to Iran? And then boom, all of a sudden Syria falls. No one's seen that coming. No one was guessing. Syria is next. We're looking at Lebanon, Gaza, West Bank, and in Iran. And then boom, out of left field, something like that happens. So that's the way politics is really, really unpredictable, guys. Now, I think some things are going to get better and some things are going to get worse. I think Gaza is going to get better. But now I am concerned about West Bank. I think settlements is going to increase in West Bank. What's going on with Syria doesn't have a military. Now Lebanon had most of its military resources cut off. Through Syria was Russia and Iran moving in supplies to Hezbollah and Lebanon. Now that's most of their military aid is cut off. Is Israel going to press the attack now? Because they're already across the border. So it's just like, dude, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. It's all up to Benjamin Netanyahu right now, because apparently the whole entire, he's acting and the world is reacting. That's sadly how it is.
That
Oh,
is
man.
that actually is sadly how it is. He's acting in the world's that's well said. Oh, let me ask you this: what switching continents? Let's talk about the drone stuff in New Jersey, because I know you covered that a little bit. I mean, what do you legitimately think that nonsense is?
At first I thought it was just like it's probably some independent freaking rich people having fun. But no, it does turn out like with all the things considered, the media was lying about it and all that sort of stuff, to blaming it on Iran and blah blah blah. If I had to take a guess, I would say that those are military experiments, military experimental drones that they're trying to work out the kinks before they send it over for actual usage overseas. Because these same drones, they've taken pictures of these drones like spraying, like looks like some kind of chemicals in there. Now, I'm sure it's just test runs. I'm sure nothing's wrong with the spray. I've seen pictures of the drones like actually firing, like like rockets. I'm sure they're dummy rockets, but it looks like, all right, these things are, they have the capabilities of spraying and they have the capabilities of rocket fire, which is like military type, drones. So I think these are military type drones in working out, because the government not knowing is bullshit. There was last week, there was 2 guys who flew a drone near Logan Airport in Massachusetts, right? And you can't fly drones near airports, period. They found them immediately and had them arrested. So I was like, all right, if they can do that, man, they can do this shit over here. And these are huge drones, man. Have you seen, these are not just your, so I mean, I think they know, I think it's the military doing it. It's kind of like, an Area 51 thing where everyone's spotting the shit in the sky and, saying this or saying that, but it's the military and the government intentionally is kind of covering up for them and stuff like that.
I've started to think, maybe they're just doing it to normalize people seeing drones and seeing things. I mean, when you normalize something, people become numb to it, and then they don't ask questions when they're kind of feeling, oh yeah, I've seen those before. This is really the first time all of a sudden we saw all these, things in the sky. So who knows? Maybe they're trying to normalize it. All right, what else, man? Any other hot topics for you? Any other hot buttons, things you want to impart on us?
Well, I can say there's man. I could talk about TikTok really quick, because there's a lot of people mentioning that the TikTok ban, and they're like, man, because you're main. They're saying like, that I'm mainly on TikTok, and like, well, what's going to happen with TikTok? Because they're trying to ban. All right, yes, they're trying to ban it again. Remember, they were huffing and puffing a year ago. They were rolling hard. They're saying, no, it's done. The TikTok is over. They're going to ban it. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And the entire all right, listen, guys, China is a superpower. China acts like a superpower. All right. If you try and tell China what to do, they're mostly just going to say, foot down, finger up. They're not going to give a damn, because it's China. You're not going to force China to sell their damn. They're a communist country. They don't give a shit about money anyway. And it's worldwide. What do they care if one country decides to opt out and everybody just on their app decides to use a VPN and easily get around it? So you get to have like a little say in public molding of opinion and stuff like that, and data collection. You can get crazy data collection off this stuff too. And spying, it opens the door for a whole bunch of stuff. You really do not want a foreign country running your media. And under normal times, I'd say, this is not a good idea. However, Israel owns so much of our damn media, directly or indirectly, that I'm like, I'm happy to have another foreign country to help counteract that. And open up the narrative to more, realistic.
So do you think, I mean, Trump seems to be now high on TikTok, so you don't think it's going to get banned? Because I don't think it's going to get banned.
No. Trump even actually came out and said that, and they're trying to work around Trump. Trump said that if they ban it, Trump is going to unban it. I mean, I think it's safe. They are huffing and puffing like crazy, and they're making people react, but I think it's not going anywhere. I think TikTok is just going to stay here.
I think you're right. All right, listen, brother, we covered a lot of good stuff. This is a great initial introduction to the community. I'd love to have you back on, maybe through the course of next year.
Anytime.
maybe we'll do like monthly check-ins or something along those lines. That'd be great. Tell everybody where they can find you. Give us your preferred platforms, and then I'll put your handles in the show description, but you're welcome to say them now too.
Oh, I appreciate you very, very much. I'm mainly on TikTok, but I also have a pretty decent following on Instagram, and I'm starting to build up my X account too. So primarily TikTok, but you can also find me on Instagram and X too.
All right,
appreciate you so much, Ray, buddy.
No problem,
great
man.
seeing you again,
fun.
man.
Yep, you too. Hang on the line. All right, everybody. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.